Oh, good morning. Yeah, Jesus is Lord. Hey, the devil is totally, utterly defeated. Jesus made a show of him openly, both in the heavens and on the earth and under the earth. Totally defeated. We just have to let him know that he's defeated, and this word stuff works. We got to work it. I've been talking to you the last couple of days about fighting the good fight of faith. That's 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 12. Fight the good fight of faith. Don't fight your brothers and your sisters because you wrestle not against flesh and blood. Don't even fight, the Democrats or the Republicans or other people, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And since our fight is in the spirit realm and the devil's defeated, really all we got to do is rejoice. Hey, listen. Demonstrating Satan's defeat in your life. I talked to you yesterday about two words, and the one I talked about mostly was compromise. The devil will get you to compromise on what God's second best is for you, just to keep you from getting God's best. I'm going to eat the good of the land. I'm willing and obedient. Isaiah 1:18. I'm going to eat. I'm going to wear the good of the land. I want to drive the good of the land. God wants me to have the best. Jesus said, I came that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. So God wants me to have an abundant life, not a barely get by life. And a barely get by life is better than what a lot of people have. I've had the privilege of preaching all over the world, not everywhere, but probably 20 countries or so. And I've been in some tough places like Venezuela and Cuba and Nicaragua and Honduras. I mean, where, people don't have anything. They have dirt floors. They don't have running water. I used to minister in one town close to Camagüey, Cuba, that, like 40 families lived in just kind of like not even apartment buildings, rooms smaller than your kitchen. And that was their whole house with a dirt floor and one spigot that came through the wall. And that was it. They had nothing, hardly any electricity. And while I was there, I contracted a disease. Now I'm going here. Well, it's something. It's called conceding defeat. Not only compromise, but also conceding defeat. And because you do that, then you set yourself up for more defeat. And I found myself, after I came back and I got a whole lot sicker and I had to have some help to get over it. The doctors told me I would never walk again. But the doctors don't know Dr. Jesus. He said, you'll never walk again, but maybe someday you'll get out of the wheelchair and walk on a walker. Well, I'm not in a wheelchair, don't walk on a walker, and I don't use a stick. But I found myself compensating for little dizzy spells. And I found myself after a year or two having a little bit of a strange gait when I walk, because I was compensating in case I got dizzy again and I might fall. So I was really preparing for the devil to win and me to be defeated and not give God the glory. And I found myself after a while I really walked kind of funny because I was watching out in case I got dizzy and compensating. And compensating is really making an excuse for failure. Now I'm going some places here. Like I told you, I was going to go all week on this. We're not talking about spiritual warfare to win the country back. We're not talking about spiritual warfare to win the church back or to win the city back. We're talking about spiritual warfare that you might win, your personal warfare. So we're talking about not compensating for what the devil told you can or cannot have. You go to the grocery store, for instance, and you look in your billfold and you find out, well, I've only got $100. Well, you start shopping based on what you have rather than shopping based on what you really want. Pat and I learned this, 50 years ago. Don't go in there and think I can buy hamburger meat and a hamburger helper and get enough food for 2 or 3 days. Buy the steak that you really want. Cook it and believe God that tomorrow you'll have the money to go back and get something else. That's compensating for not having enough to buy what you want so that you can get by. And the devil has talked you out of having God's best. And so you compensate for it and you don't do what you don't. I used to do it all the time, buying gas. You go buy $10 worth of gas rather than filling up the tank, because if you've only got $50, you might need that other 40 for something else. So you buy just enough gas to get you where you got to go, get you on your way back. And what you've done is you've compensated for lack. Don't get upset at me, but you've all done it. We've all done it. Compensating for defeat. Compensating for the fact that God didn't say what he meant and meant what he said. Compensating for failure. You're getting ready for it. I ain't got time to do this, but when my two oldest boys, which are now in their 50s, were just 7 and 8, they wanted some new mini bikes, YZ80s, and they wanted them for Christmas. And so I said, do what the word said. And they went and gave away the little mini bikes. I said, whoa. And they said, well, you taught us, given it shall be given unto you. So a few days before Christmas, man, I was broke. I brought them into the bedroom and I said, boys, I need to talk to you about these mini bikes. Their little eyes got big, And I said, look, Dad's provided us with a house here. Dad's provided us with food. I'm doing a pretty good job here, boys. And but I don't know about these mini bikes. And one of them said to the other, said, that sounds like doubt and unbelief. Yeah, it does. And they both said, well, we're getting out of here. We're not listening to that. Well, I want you to know God provided for them supernaturally, and it wasn't because of my faith. It was in spite of my faith, because I was willing to compromise and not get what they wanted, willing to concede defeat, willing to say, well, look how good I am doing. I'm such a wonderful dad here, and I was willing to just make excuses here and compensate for my failure rather than get what I believed that I received when I prayed. Now, I'm going to come back to this tomorrow. This is vitally important. If you're going to believe God for it, you're going to do whatever it takes to get it, or the next time you go to believe God, the devil's going to beat you over the head and tell you can't have it. Now, we'll do that tomorrow. Time's gone. Hey, saints, don't compromise. Don't compensate for your failure. Go out and kick a little devil butt and say, look at me and my faith and what I can do. And until I'm with you tomorrow, saints, remember all day, hey, Jesus is Lord. Thank God the word works.